Hello everyone, my name is Aishwarya. I am a conservation trainee working with Art and Material Heritage Division of INTACH, New Delhi. Today I will be talking about the conservation of Pabuji ka Phad, which came into our lab in the year 2018 for conservation. Before I start with the introduction and conservation of the Phad painting, I will discuss briefly about the Phad painting. It is a beautiful form of folk art of Rajasthan, which is now well known on a global scale. The legendary hero of Rajasthan, Pabuji and Devnarayanji are the principal subject, and the painting are based on their life. Phad painting involves two groups of people, one the Chitrakar or the painter, and the other one is Bhopa or the narrator, who can also be seen in the image that is given, who explains the nuances of each scene. The process of making Phad. The first step involved in the process is preparation of starch paste, which is prepared from wheat or rice flour. Then comes the application of the starch paste or kalp lagana. For this process, the artists usually prefer a hand woven or hand spun cotton cloth like khadi or reja, and on this the earlier made starch paste is applied evenly. After that, the cloth is dried under the sun, which is known as sukhana or the drying process. Then it is rubbed with a stone device which is called as mohra, which makes the cloth smooth and shiny. Now the process of color making starts, in which the artist prepares his paints from gum, powdered earthen colors, water and indigo. The painter then divides the entire section, generally into 4 parts, and further it gets divided into subsections, and a rough sketch of the whole painting is made. This process is known as mapping or Naqsh Banana. After that, the successive application of color begins. Then comes the last and the final process, known as the application of black color or Syahi Kadna. After this, the painting becomes like a sacred image. The forceful linear expressions become more lively. Now I would like to start with the introduction to the object. This object belongs to a private collector. This is the front and the back side of the object, documented when it came for conservation in our lab. The main figure in this Phad is Pabuji. That's why this Phad painting is known as Pabuji ka Phad. Talking about the condition of the object, there were various problems and some were a result of how the object was displayed. Stains were present on major portions of the painting. Small losses were present. The edges were frayed and had losses too, and also a major tear was visible which had been previously restored. The previous interventions in the form of patch mending, stitches and adhesive residues were present. There was waviness that was visible in the object. Loss of pigments also could be seen. And along the edges, whitewash stains were present. To begin with the conservation process, the first step carried out was mechanical cleaning, and it was only done on the backside in order to remove the cobwebs and superficial dust and dirt. It was not done on the front side as there were chances of loss of pigments. Then the solvent cleaning was carried out in order to minimize the stains. Before carrying out this process, test patches were first made in order to check which solvent or combination of solvents will work and was there any bleeding of color that was taking place or not. After that, the previous restorations were removed. In this image, we can see how the area looks after the removal of the previous restorations. The big tear after the previous restorations were removed is stabilized first and then the tear mending was done. For the losses present in the object, patch mending was performed, and for this process the cloth was taken, which was cotton, having a similar weave pattern and texture as the object. It was then also coated with pigments and gum. Then the lining process was carried out. Marking cloth was taken, bigger in size. It was then destarched and dyed in a shade similar to the shade of the object. The lining cloth was then stretched onto a strainer. Outline was made first according to the object on the lining cloth using a tape, which was removed later on. The adhesive was evenly applied and then the object was placed slowly on the lining cloth without touching the object directly, and then the lining process was completed. The final process carried out was retouching in order to fill in the loss of pigments and to cover up the whitewash stains, as earlier when it was tested to remove those whitewash stains, it was resulting in the removal of the pigment layer as well. So in these areas, first a separating layer was applied and then the retouching was carried out so that it could be removed later on if needed. Then we can see some before and after images of the conservation process carried out. In this image we can see how much the stains have reduced and how much the figures have got enhanced after the conservation process. The tear that was present earlier and now how it looks. The entire Phad painting before conservation and after conservation.